They told you it was hidden. They whispered like it was too fragile for daylight, but it was never a secret. No, it was a trap, a stage built with fake smiles and golden distractions, and they thought you'd never see it. They thought you'd walk into it blind, like everyone else before you. But look closer. The lights were too bright, the timing too perfect, the smiles rehearsed to the beat of deception. It wasn't mystery, it was choreography. They arranged the scene so carefully that you almost believed it was coincidence. Almost. Every compliment, every soft word, every trust me was a thread woven into the net. And you, curious and open-hearted, stepped forward because that's what light souls do. They see good until there's none left to see. But the illusion was never meant to protect you. It was meant to study you. They watched how you moved, how you cared, how you forgave. They mistook your kindness for permission. Yet what they forgot is that illusion has a lifespan. Lies age quickly under truth, and even the most polished masks crack under the weight of repetition. So while they smiled, you began to notice the patterns, the pauses too long, the eyes that darted away, the tone that shifted when honesty entered the room. You noticed. You always did. Ask yourself, was it really hidden, or was it placed right in front of you, dressed in glitter, waiting for you to step forward? That's the trick of it. They call it secrecy, but secrecy is just silence dressed up to look mysterious. What they built wasn't mystery. It was manipulation. The wires weren't crossed by accident. The maze wasn't confusing by chance. Every wall was placed on purpose. Every silence stretched to make you question yourself. And you were marked as the target, the pawn, the one they thought they could contain in their web. But here's what they never calculated: awareness. Awareness doesn't explode, it unfolds. It seeps into the edges of illusion until the entire design starts to shimmer and shake. The moment you stopped reacting, the moment you simply watched, the illusion started to betray itself. The same stage that once blinded you began to light the truth. You didn't stumble through the trap. You studied it. You watched every move, every pattern, every repetition they thought you were too distracted to notice. And when the time came, you didn't break down inside their maze. You mapped it. You found the exits. You carried the blueprint they used to control you, and you walked out without looking back. And now they're the ones panicking because you weren't supposed to survive the web. You weren't supposed to escape the stage they built, but you did more than survive. You reversed it. Look at them now, spinning faster and faster inside the same lies they once wrapped around you. The web they created for your downfall has become their prison. Every excuse tangles them tighter. Every performance makes the mask slip a little more. They don't understand what happened, how control slipped away so quietly, how the words that once made you question everything now fall flat. It wasn't revenge that disarmed them. It was presence, stillness, the kind that can't be manipulated because it no longer reacts. At first, they thought confusion would be enough. If they could keep you doubting yourself, you'd never have the strength to question them. That was the heart of the trap. isolation, make you feel small, make you feel uncertain, make you search for answers only in places they controlled. They fed on hesitation. They lived off your silence. Every pause, every second you second-guessed yourself was fuel for their performance. They mistook your quiet for weakness, your patience for ignorance. But silence isn't weakness, it's observation. And while they played their game, you were watching. You listened between the lines. You noticed the tone behind their words. You remembered the inconsistencies they swore you'd forget. And little by little, the pieces started clicking into place. And then came the shift, the awakening, the moment you realized you were never lost. You were learning. You were never trapped. You were studying the trap. And when that awareness finally lit up, their whole structure cracked. Suddenly, their charm stopped working. Their control slipped. The illusion that once held you broke apart with nothing more than the power of clarity. Once awareness entered, their power began to leak away. You could see it in their eyes, the panic, the scramble, the desperate attempt to patch the cracks. The same tricks that once worked so easily suddenly looked clumsy. The charm that once dazzled now felt hollow. The control they held over you slipped like sand through open hands. The unraveling was quiet at first. Small mistakes, stories that didn't line up, smiles that didn't reach their eyes. But then it grew louder, faster. Every lie they told started tripping over the last. Every mask they wore began to tear at the edges. They thought they could bury the truth under layers of performance. But truth doesn't need to fight to be seen. It only needs time, and time was never on their side. Their panic is not loud, it's silent. It's in the way their eyes shift when your name is mentioned. It's in the forced laughter, the restless energy, the quiet guilt that hums beneath every word. They know. Even if they'll never admit it out loud, they know the energy shifted. The control they once worshipped has turned into weight. The image they built now demands constant maintenance, and every attempt to preserve it only exposes more of the truth. That's how illusions die. Not by confrontation, but by exposure. The light doesn't argue with the dark, it simply shines. And in that light, you stood, no longer trying to convince, no longer trying to fix. You simply existed in truth. And that was enough to make their empire of control crumble into dust. Truth doesn't rush, it doesn't scream, it doesn't demand to be heard. It waits, calm, patient, timeless, until the noise burns itself out. And when it finally rises, it doesn't argue with lies. It replaces them. That's what's happening now. You don't have to lift a finger. The exposure is unfolding naturally. One by one, their stories start to contradict each other. Their masks, once seamless, begin to crack under the quiet pressure of truth. It starts small. Whispers, questions, strange glances that don't match their words. Then the silence grows heavier, the energy shifts, and suddenly everyone can sense what you've known all along. Something doesn't add up. That's the power of clarity. It spreads without noise. It travels like light under a closed door, unstoppable, uncontainable. The same people who once believed the illusion now start to feel its weight. They can't explain it, but they feel it. And the ones who once defended the falsehood begin to fall silent too. Meanwhile, you move differently now. There's no bitterness in your steps, no need to justify, no urge to expose. You've outgrown the battlefield. Your silence has become your power, your stillness, your statement. Because what's collapsing isn't just their lie, it's the entire structure that depended on your confusion. The moment you saw clearly, everything built on deception began to shake. The very walls that once cornered you are now closing in on them. The same energy they used to manipulate now loops back, not as punishment, but as reflection. That's how truth works. It doesn't seek vengeance. It simply restores balance. Their confidence begins to falter. The laughter sounds forced. The certainty they once carried like armor now feels heavy, hollow. The illusion that once protected them has turned into a mirror, one they can't escape because it follows them everywhere. They are haunted not by ghosts, but by awareness. The awareness that you saw through it all, that you're free now, and they're still trapped in the performance they created. And while they struggle to maintain the act, you are already living outside it, breathing differently, thinking differently, walking in a peace they can't understand. That's what real power feels like. Quiet, centered, untouchable. You're no longer defined by what they did. You're defined by what you became after it. You didn't win because they lost. You won because you learned. You didn't rise because they fell. You rose because you refused to sink. And that difference is what separates truth from illusion forever. The collapse isn't loud, it's steady, unavoidable. It's the natural end of everything built on pretense. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to witness it. Truth finishes what it starts. Always. While their illusion dissolves, you begin to see what was hidden beneath the noise, yourself. Not the version they tried to define, not the one they manipulated or underestimated, but the one that was always waiting for the dust to settle. The true one. You start to realize something powerful. You never needed to fight to prove your worth. You never had to scream to be heard. All along, your strength was in your endurance, in your quiet, consistent choice to keep showing up, even when no one was watching. The rise didn't happen in a single moment. It happened in all the moments you refused to give up. Every time you chose peace instead of reaction, clarity instead of confusion, truth instead of drama, you were rising. You were building yourself back from the inside out. They thought power came from control, but real power comes from understanding, from knowing yourself so deeply that no illusion can hold you again. That's the kind of power you carry now, the kind that doesn't have to announce itself to be felt. And the world begins to respond. Doors that once stayed shut start to open in silence. Paths that seemed blocked begin to clear without effort. That's what happens when you align with truth. The energy that was once trapped in chaos starts to move freely again. Your rise isn't loud, it's graceful. It doesn't seek attention because it doesn't need validation. You don't chase, you attract. You don't explain, you embody. And in that calmness, the universe bends quietly in your favor. There's beauty in realizing you didn't lose yourself. You found yourself. The pain that once felt like destruction was actually the breaking of illusion, not identity. You were never weak. You were learning the cost of misplaced trust. You were never broken. You were shedding what was false. And now every scar tells a different story, and not of defeat, but of survival. Each wound has become a symbol of wisdom, a map of lessons that no one can take away. What was once your pain has become your protection. The same silence they feared has become your voice. The same solitude they mocked has become your strength. And your peace, once mistaken for surrender, is now the proof of your evolution. That's what rising looks like for the chosen ones. Not a loud victory, but a quiet ascension, the kind that humbles the proud and inspires the broken, the kind that no one can fake because it comes from truth alone. You don't carry resentment, you carry awareness. You don't seek revenge, you seek purpose. You've outgrown the need to prove anything because you finally understand truth doesn't need an audience. It simply is. And so you rise, not to show them, but to show yourself what freedom really feels like. Now that you stand beyond the illusion, something remarkable happens. The world feels lighter, not because it changed, but because you did. The same scenes, the same people, the same noise. They no longer carry the same weight. You've seen through them, and once you see, you can't unsee. Freedom isn't just walking away, it's walking differently. It's carrying peace where chaos used to live. It's being unbothered, not because you don't care, but because you finally understand what deserves your energy and what never did. They, on the other hand, still chase, still perform, still cling to the illusion, because without it, they don't know who they are. But you've learned the art of letting go. And in letting go, you gained everything they were trying to take from you. Clarity, peace, and power. They'll wonder how you did it, how you could be so calm when they expected chaos, how you could glow after everything that was meant to dim your light. But that's the secret they'll never understand. Peace is power. Stillness is dominance. Silence is control. And every time you choose peace over reaction, you rewrite the story. You prove that what was meant to break you became your breakthrough, that the trap wasn't the end, it was initiation. The moment you stopped fighting for validation and started living in truth, you shifted everything. You see, the real revenge is not in making them suffer. It's in making peace with yourself. It's in knowing that nothing they did was enough to define you, that your truth outlasted their illusion, and that now, when they remember you, they don't see weakness. They see the mirror of their own mistakes. You don't need to show them their loss. Life will, time will, truth already has. Because what's real doesn't fade. It evolves, and you have evolved into something they can't control, can't predict, and can't replace. That's the legacy of freedom, when you no longer need to explain your peace, prove your growth, or defend your silence. You simply live, and in living, you expose everything false. So let them wonder, let them whisper, let them rewrite their stories as much as they want. You're no longer part of their play. You've outgrown the stage entirely, because the moment you stepped out of their illusion, you didn't just escape a trap, you transcended it. And now the same eyes that once looked down on you can't look away. The same people who underestimated you now study your calm, your strength, your rise, and call it mystery. But you know better. It's not mystery. It's mastery, the mastery of yourself. And that is the quiet power they'll never touch. So let them spiral, let them scramble, because the game is over. And you, steady, untouchable, undeniable, are the legacy they never saw coming. Because in the end, it was never a secret. It was a trap. And now the trap is broken. The truth is alive, and they're the ones falling fast. And if you felt that truth, if you see the pattern clear as day, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, spread it, let more eyes open. Hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe, because this isn't just a story, it's a shift, and you don't want to miss what comes next.